service. Hello, room filled with real people. Real people. Hey, real people, would you stand up and help me sing a song? And hey, real people at home, you're just as real. You're just in your jammies. Just maybe realer in a way, right? We are a little jealous. I can pretend these are my jammies. Let's do a little step touch with this. This is a song by Sandra Crouch that I know you've sung before. It's Yes, God. Here we go. Yes, God. Yes, God. From the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul. Yes, God. Completely. Completely, yes. My soul says yes. Sing it out. Sing it out strong, everybody. Yes, God. If you like harmonies, pitch them in. Yes, God. From the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul. Yes, God. Completely, yes. My soul says yes. Hey, Tim, give us a verse.
Not my will, God, but thy will be done. No more I, now it's Christ that lives in me. God, I give my everything to you. I am yielded completely through and through.
Yes, God. Yes, God. From the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul. Yes, God. Completely, yes. My soul says yes. Let us pray.
And so we do open our minds and our hearts to the presence, the power, and the activity of God that is moving in and through us now and always. So let us affirm together. There is but one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotence.
Let's sing it through from this quiet place. Sometimes when we're singing from the quiet place, it's a good time to send it out to someone who's not in the room that you think might need a prayer, a music prayer. Let's sing together. Yes, God. Yes, God. Yes, God. From the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul. Yes, God. Completely, completely, yes. My soul says yes, yes, yes. Yes, God. Yes, God. From the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul. Yes, God. Completely, yes. My soul says yes. Please be seated.
Good morning and welcome to Seattle Unity. It's wonderful to see people in the room again, and of course we welcome everyone who is at home. So we're going to have our mission statement this morning, so join me. We are a welcoming spiritual community thriving in the heart of Seattle, celebrating, inspiring, and deepening our individual and collective spiritual journeys. And it is so. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So if you're in the room or at home and you would have prayer requests, I invite you, if you're home, type them in the chat box. And in the room, there are prayer request forms over there. We'll collect them at the end of the service, and we'll bless people. And then those prayers are also held and given to the prayer team and Silent Unity. So know that these prayers go out not just today, but throughout the rest of the week. And so now let us see our announcements.
talking to people, or you can be done for just a minute, make your way back towards your seats, or actually anywhere in the room. But if you can be standing, that's awesome. We're going to sing We Are Family. And while you're coming back, I'll introduce you. You heard from Tim. He's a congregant singer. I'm Erin, and today's special guest is Lavon Hardison. Oh! You're going to hear more from her in a minute. We also have David and Olivia, and you can hear that guitar. That is Tony Serzo, is another volunteer. Awesome that we got him today. Thank you so much for being here. And I bet many of you know the song already. Let's sing it. Here we go. We are family. Yes, you did know it. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up now. Get up, everybody, and sing. Can you clap for me? Here we go. We are family. Got my brothers. I got all my brothers with me. Yeah, yeah. We are family. Get up now. Get up, everybody, and sing. I'm gonna do a verse. Hey, everyone can see we're together as we walk on by, and we flock just like birds of a feather. I don't tell no lie. All of the people around us, they say, can they be that close? If you know what I'm saying. Let's let me state for the record. Ready? We're giving love in a family dose. Oh yeah, we are family. Woo! I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up now. Get up, everybody, and sing. Yeah, yeah. We are family. Got my brothers. I got all my brothers with me.
Brothers and
We are family. Get up now. Get up, everybody, and sing. Let's do it again. Acapella real loud. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. Yeah. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. Yeah, yeah. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Here it is. Get up, everybody, and sing. Woo! We do these up-tempo songs to get the blood moving, and I hope that you moved yourself enough that you can feel your heartbeat going a little bit right now. And it helps helps you key into your breath. And that's really where we're going, because we're heading into the contemplative part of the service that includes a 3-minute silent meditation. And while we're in the room, we're sharing that space together and feeling this beautiful airspace above us and hearing the trains. So I encourage you to make yourself comfortable in your chairs. And if you're at home, I encourage you to stay with us rather than going and doing a chore. Stay with us and meditate with us. We'll use a chant to go in. There is something deeper. There is something stronger. There is something greater than I can see. There is a love inside me. There is something deeper. There is something stronger, greater. There is something greater than I can see. There is a love inside me. There is something deeper. There is something stronger. There is something greater than I can see. There is love inside me, yes. There is something deeper. There is something stronger. There is something greater than I can see. There is a love inside me. There is something deeper. There is something stronger. There is something greater than I can see. There is a love inside me.
Turn, turn, turn. There is a season. Turn, turn, turn. To everything. Turn, turn, turn. There is a season. Turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep, to everything. There is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away all stones, a time to gather stones all together, to everything. There is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I hope it's not too late. To everything, to every season, to everyone, to every feeling, to every life, to every reason, to everything beautiful, even ugly. Every living thing must turn.
Let's do that again. Let's hear it for Levon Hardison. That was beautiful. So Seattle Unity's theme for 2022 is called the Tree of Life. And I have to tell you, this is a stretch for me because, as you know, I kind of grew up under the L tracks in Chicago, so I wasn't really exposed to a lot of forests and trees and nature. I always assumed that, you know, if a tree was there, it's because the city came in and planted it. I never actually, anyway. I have a lot to learn this year. So last month, our focus was on planting seeds of intention for the rest of the year. We did that by writing a word on a stone. And You know, one of the things that I was thinking, because sometimes we put it on an altar, we put it in our purse, and this year I've decided that I'm going to move it around. I'm going to put it in a different pocket of my coat or maybe in my backpack so that I find it and I'm surprised and I'm reminded. So I invite you to make whatever word you wrote on that stone, to make it a living part of your life and to keep it with you throughout the year so that you kind of can check, like, where am I? Where am I with this word? So this month we're going to look beneath the surface to see how we're connected. And the tree of life is also, the Kabbalah is also known as the tree of life. And it begins with the crown chakra, right? And it is the first sephira, which is a Hebrew letter, and the Hebrew letter is Kether and symbolizes oneness. So the Sefer Yitzhara said that Kether is the light, giving the power of comprehension of that first principle, which has no beginning in its primary glory, because no created being can attain its essence. So you get the idea that it's like this pure form, right? It's this pure energy. It's the crown chakra. It is that place of oneness. It is the place that is still unformed. So we start from this place of oneness. And although we appear to be separate beings, we are connected and we are one. And every religion, wise philosophy tells us this. Jesus said it when he said, love your neighbor as yourself. Why? Because we're one. We're the same. Now in Buddhism, this belief, and Hinduism, again, many other religions, but Namu Amida Butsu, a Buddhist. Now, he compared oneness to a plant called a syngonium. Anybody know what a syngonium is? It's like a big bush, right? And he says you put the syngonium in a pot and it reproduces through the roots, so that you could end up having like 4 different plants within this pot. He said to the casual observer, it will look like a giant bush. But the gardener knows better because they understand what's happening beneath the soil. So this is the teaching of oneness, a teaching that states that all living beings live in the same pot. We share the same roots, and what benefits one of us naturally benefits all of us. Similarly, what hurts one of us hurts all of us. So we must practice right mindfulness and use our inner wisdom in daily life. He said if we act as skilled gardeners looking beneath the surface, then we see the oneness of all things. We understand that our well-being is tied to the rivers, the trees, and the people around us, so we care for them just as we care for ourselves. This is the compassion of Bodhisattva. Compassion born of the fact that when we get sick, the world is sick. It's a compassion that understands the best way to help ourselves is to help the people, the plants, and the animals around us. So it's a wonderful concept, isn't it? Because what appears to be separate, what appears to be just there, if we look underneath, there's this whole world that is unfolding. There's this whole world that's happening. And this same idea is revealed in the book The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter Wollenben. And again, he says the trees are connected through their roots, right? And one of the things that they discovered in their experiment is because trees have been planted together when we sort of take control of the forest, instead of having different trees all mixed up. And what they found is that the trees actually did better when they were amongst a lot of different species, that they thrived more than if they were all in their own little group. So diversity was a real strong piece of their health. And again, they care for one another through their roots. So when one of them is sick, they can send nutrients to the tree that is sick. And they also found that if every tree is only looking out for itself, that it's not sending out this nutrients to the other trees, that they would never really reach old age. They live longer when they reach out and they help the other trees. Again, all this can be found in the book. There's also a video on, I don't know how many of you use Canopy through the library, but you can watch. And we're going to do that as not a class, but as a discussion group in a couple of weeks, where we're going to watch that together and have a discussion group. Peter said, every tree is valuable to the community and worth keeping around for as long as possible. And that is why even sick individuals are nourished until they recover. So the other way that they communicate is through the fungi. So it's not just the roots, but it's the mycelium, right? And they're saying that the fungi present that act as intermediaries to guarantee a quick dissemination of news. So they can tell each other, hey, there's a lot of bugs over on that tree, or there's a drought. So they're able to communicate with each other through the mycelium. The fungi connections transmit signals from one tree to the next, helping the tree exchange news about insects, drought, and other dangers. Science has adopted a term first coined by the journal Nature for Dr. Simard's discovery of the wood wide web. So it's a new term, the wood wide web. It's a way that they all connect. And it's a spiritual lesson for all of us. Because from the outside, it looks like, again, that nothing's happening. It looks like all the trees are separate. But the gardener knows better because they understand what's happening beneath the soil. So if this is how the forest communicates, then why should humans be any different? If one of us is sick or wounded or discriminated against, does this not affect us all? Right? Because we're one. Bernard Rustin was a civil rights leader, and he helped plan the March on Washington for Dr. Martin Luther King. He was active his whole life in the cause of civil rights, but also as a gay man for gay rights. And he was inspired by the nonviolent teachings of Gandhi, just as Martin Luther King was. And this is what he said. He said, "My activism did not spring from being black. The racial injustice that was present in this country during my youth was a challenge to my belief in the oneness of the human family." So just as we heard with the trees, right? If something happens to one of us, one of them, it happens to all of us. So he had this kind of awakening when he was on a bus from Louisville to Nashville. And at that time, Jim Crow laws were in effect, which meant you had to sit in the back of the bus. And he said he got on the bus and he started walking toward the back of the bus, and this little boy reached out and touched his tie, wanted to play with him. It was like, oh, he wanted to touch his tie. And immediately the boy's mother said, "Don't touch him." And of course added a racial slur. And he had an awakening in that moment. He said, as I was going by the second seat to go to the rear, that child who was so innocent of race relations that it was going to play with me will have seen so many blacks go to the back and sit quietly, and will end up saying, well, they like it back there. I've never seen anybody protest against it. So I owe it to that child, not only to my own dignity, I owe it to that child that it should be educated to know that blacks do not want to sit in the back, and therefore I should get arrested, letting all these white people in the bus know that I don't accept it. So he sat in the second row, and he would not move, even though he was told over and over again to move, and he was arrested. He said, it occurred to me shortly after that it was an absolute necessity for me also to declare my homosexuality, because if I didn't, I was part of the prejudice. And I was aiding and abetting the prejudice that was part of the effort to destroy me. So again, his actions stemmed from a belief in oneness. And just like the trees, he saw a sickness in perception that affected everyone, and it needed to be addressed. So we have sicknesses of body, but we also have sicknesses of spirit. Yeah, we have sicknesses of perception that need to be healed. So spiritual communities practice oneness through prayer, through meditation, through loving kindness. And I just spent 2 weeks at the Shivananda Yoga Retreat or Ashram in the Bahamas, where I lived for a year in 1980 as a staff member. And I'd forgotten how strict the rules are there. It's not your luxurious kind of vacation, right? It's a spiritual boot camp. And some of the rules are no meat, no fish, no eggs, no alcohol, no caffeine, no drugs, no mushrooms, no garlic, no onions. So they divide foods into 3 categories. The spiritual, rajasic is the second, which is that, it's like caffeine where you're charged up, and then tamasic, which is like you're a slug. So they want you to be sattvic, so they serve broccoli and kale and very bland and tasteless food, let me tell you. I had a headache for the first 2 or 3 days, and I finally got into it. I just ate broccoli primarily. There are 2 90-minute yoga classes a day. There is a meditation at 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. along with chanting, and it's the same thing as here. Trying to chant with a mask is like, forget about it. It doesn't have the same feeling behind it, but I know that's coming to an end. It also has beautiful beach and an ocean that's amazing. And I've been around this organization long enough to watch it ebb and flow, to go through periods of great prosperity and growth to an ebb. And right now they're in an ebb because of COVID, like everybody else. They've been closed for 2 years, and they have just reopened. And so as they do a month-long yoga teachers training course, and normally they have 100, 120 students. They have 20. Right? But they're rebuilding. They're starting over again. And I know that they will flow once again, right? That they will grow once again, that they will prosper once again. And one of the things that hasn't changed is the healing energy that exists there because of more than 50 years of meditating and a daily spiritual practice. It is a practice that encourages the concept of oneness. Swami Shivananda said, look within. Within you is the hidden God. Within you is the immortal soul. Within you is the inexhaustible spiritual treasure. And within you is the ocean of bliss. So it's another way of looking underneath, right? It's like looking at the roots, looking at what's underneath. That spirit is underneath. So today is our annual meeting, and we too, of course, are a spiritual community. Though we may not be living on Paradise Island in the Bahamas, we're in downtown Seattle, we are no less a spiritual community. And we have been like the Israelites over the last couple of years in the wilderness in this beautiful place called Metropolis. It's not bad for a wilderness, is it? And we have stayed together through this building project and through COVID. We have found different ways to connect, even though we are masked, even though sometimes we are limited in the numbers we can be, even though we may be at home. And the world has needed to learn how to be more patient and kind over these last couple of years and to kind of just flow with what's happening or what's not happening. So we had hoped that we would have our grand opening for the building in March, but because of a concrete strike, supply chain challenges, and other issues, it's going to be another couple of months. And yet, as I look at this, I see that divine order is still at work, because if we did open in March, the COVID numbers, they look like they're going down. Looks like maybe we might be at the end of this pandemic, but who knows? But if we wait a couple more months, when we have our opening, we can maybe have our masks off, and we can really celebrate, and we can really come together, and we can invite more people in. So I'm seeing this as the divine order that is unfolding. Trusting in God and in oneness means that there is a higher purpose working through this. And I really want to thank Diane Robertson and Tom Curran, Julie Lawton, George Edwards, Dahlia Cohen, the rest of our amazing board and finance team for going above and beyond the call of duty to see this through. It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of things that are happening below the surface that we don't see. There's so much happening that we don't see that is manifesting. And Kathleen for helping us with the picking out the furniture and the artwork. She has such an eye for that. So just like the yoga retreat that I've seen the rise and fall, there's a breathing in and a breathing out. And we have been in the breathing out, and I think we're getting ready to breathe in, yeah? And to welcome us all back and to be a spiritual community in more of the normal way, although we have extended and learned how to live stream. That was something we were going to put off till we were in the building. We're like, yeah, we'll figure that out later. Well, guess what? The universe had a different plan. So the Tree of Life has so much to teach us about life and oneness, the way they care for the sick, and in doing so, they extend their own lives. The trees flourish with a diversity of different species rather than being with their own kind and only with their own kind. They communicate in ways that are unseen through the roots and the fungi. And we too communicate in unseen ways. We communicate with the heart, with love and compassion. We communicate not only with our words, but when we sing and when we pray and when we are silent together. This builds an energy field that can be felt as a physical presence. And it's not limited to a building, but it is connected to the heart of every individual. So as we come to a close, let us know. Let us look beneath the surface to the oneness of all things. Because in my realization of oneness, I am calm and centered. I breathe in and I connect with all beings in all forms. I open my heart to divine love so that I may be healed. I open my heart to divine love, that I may be oneness. I open my heart to divine love, that I may be a source of healing in this world. And it is for this awareness, and in the name and through the power of the living Spirit of truth, that we say thank you and amen. And it is so.
I've been planting seeds on the ground, watering them with my sweat and tears, scattering them all around. Guess it's what I'm supposed to do with my ears. Funny thing is, I may know what I planted, but never what will sow. It always seems to be a perfect mystery. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, whatever sends will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Sometimes I still like to pretend I know what the harvest will be, but I always find out in the end it was never really up to me. Funny thing is, when I just do the work and simply trust, always seems that life is looking out for me.
Hey, me!
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, was meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, was meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds. Planting seeds. We are planting seeds, nothing more.
So we come to that time in our service where we share our tithes and our love offerings. If you are giving in person in the room, there is a box over there to put your gift in. Otherwise, text to give at 206-350-8448. I find it very easy to give in this way. Again, no matter how you give, we are so grateful for your generosity. So let us bless our gift. I give willingly, joyfully and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude. It is so. And so we do dedicate and consecrate these gifts to the will, the work, and the way of the living Spirit of truth, and then we go forward to bless those who have requested prayer. So I invite you to move to your heart or to your crown chakra, third eye, whatever it is that connects you to Spirit. As your consciousness is now directed to the prayers and healing of Marilou, of Mason and Tara, of Jim and the Wood family, we send light to Katie and Ellie, to Therese, to David, to Molly and Mark, to Kathy, taking a deep breath. And we send this healing energy to Jeannie, Adam and Judy, Sabrina, Becky, Sandra. And if you have thought of someone, please speak their names now. And we know that Spirit knows who each person is. We also hold the Ukraine and Russia. And we see peace manifesting in the world, in all areas, but especially there. We see things calming down, becoming centered and peaceful. Because we know the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And that's the truth, says Kyria. Yay! Please stand as you are able. As you're doing that, I want to thank Nick and Phil and Diane and Karen R. and David, who is ushering and working all the ushers in. Thank you, ushers, very much. We're going to sing All Is Well. If there's somebody whose hand you can hold safely, go ahead and do that, but ask. Ask first. Right? Here we go. All is well. All is well.
Woohoo!